In the previous video, I reviewed some of the common workspace items that you'll want to store inside of the hydraulic seed file. So I talked about the project defaults, storm data, engineering catalogs, hydraulic prototypes, default design constraints, the alternatives, calculation options, as well as the scenarios. Now I want to continue on with that and go over some of the other commonly used settings. So if I go over to the Tools ribbon, we can also set up user data extensions. These are going to be set up per database, so either drainage or utilities. And for each element type, you'll be able to add your own data fields to the hydraulic model. Another area we can customize, if I go over to the Analysis tab, is the flex tables and the queries. So talk about the flex tables first. So again, we're going to see the division between the utilities database and the drainage database. And a flex table is going to be a custom tabular report that's built from the elements, either drainage properties or utility properties. If I go over to the queries, you're going to see the same setup. And a query is going to create a selection set of data based off passing simple or complex criteria. And we'll commonly use the queries with the flex tables. Going over to the utilities view, this is where we can do some additional customization. So we have element symbology. This is going to allow us to define the labels and color coding that are displayed on the elements inside of a drawing model. And these are going to be used as a design aid. And then moving over here to the right, we have two additional ways to customize. So we can customize the drainage and utilities properties to control what's shown in that dialog. We can also customize tooltips. So here we can define what type of data is displayed in the tooltip that appears when you hover your cursor over an element inside of the drawing pane. The hydraulic seed project is going to be a full-fledged hydraulic project, so it can contain as much or as little detail for starting up a new design file as you need. With the use of configuration variables is how we can define the desired hydraulic seed file for when we start a file. So that can be coming from one seed file, in the event that you have your drainage and utilities information combined. Or we can point to two separate seed files in the event that you have your drainage separated from your utilities and have those both stored in separate DGN libraries. In addition to the hydraulic catalogs and settings that I just mentioned, you're also going to want to store your features inside of the hydraulic seed file. Now it is recommended to keep your utility features and those related settings in one DGN library and your drainage features and related settings in a separate DGN library. Although if you want to have them all in one place, you can also do that. With these feature definitions, you're going to include the feature definitions as well as the symbologies that are related to those feature definitions and any annotation groups and annotation definitions that are related to those symbologies. And then following that further down, we're going to go into the element template dialog. So you'll want to have your element template stored in here as well. And beyond that, you could additionally have your drainage levels or utility levels inside of this file, or you could have the levels in a different file. And I'll go over two more elements that you might want to include inside of this hydraulic seed file. One is going to be your text favorites, to be located here. You don't have to store your text favorites inside of this DGN library. However, doing so is going to make the management of the text favorites and the annotation groups as well as the labels much easier. Another thing you'll want to consider adding into this file are your item types for drainage or utilities. So anytime you assign an item type to a feature definition, a copy of that library is going to be created inside of the file. So if you choose to store your drainage and utilities item types inside of a separate file, you'll need to manage two versions of that library. And because of this, it's best practice to store the drainage and utilities related item types directly inside of the drainage and utilities DGN lib.